Here we go. So the first thing you need before anything is you need to actually figure out the payment, which takes you back to loans and everything. So to figure out the payment, it says you have to borrow this much. So you actually take that and you get a table rate over 1,000. Okay. So what is it? 4 years, that's 5.25. 5.25, 4 years, that's 2321. Okay. So that's the number I need in here. You divide, you multiply, and you get 151.45. Okay. I will give you a mark for this. If you get that wrong, then it's just -1, that's okay. Okay, so once we have that, then it's 151.45 in here. You would not lose marks if this is a different payment, as long as it's what you have here. Okay, so we transferred over. Then you need to figure out the interest for the first month. This is literally asking you for how much of it was paid in terms of interest on the first month's payment. So you take your unpaid balance, 65.25 times the interest rate, divided by 100, of course, and all of that divided by 12. You get 28.55. I'll give you 1 mark for that. Okay. And then money towards principal, you just take your payment minus that. Okay. You go payment minus interest, so you subtract these and you get 122.90. 122.90. I'll give you half for that. Reason being is obviously if you get this wrong, you lose a mark, but if I see you subtracting these two to get that, you still get the half mark for that step. And then I'll give you another half mark for this, because you got to go minus 122.90. If I see you taking this and subtracting it from the previous number, you do get a half mark there as well. So that'd be 6,402.10 if you did that right. So that's another half mark. So 1, half, and half, that's 2. Okay? 2 marks for that row. So if you made a mistake here, no big deal. You still get 1 out of 2 potentially if you do the steps correctly. I'm just going to say this. This is where some of you asked me, do I need to show work? I would say no. But if I can tell what you've done, then you do get the half mark. If I cannot figure out what you've done, then chances are you're not going to get anything. So I guess with a caveat, you don't need to show work, but, right? So now, next row, you take this number and you repeat that process. 6402.10, and you multiply by that interest rate that doesn't change, divided by 12, and now you get 28.01. You get another full mark for that step. Okay. Then you subtract these two to get this one, and that's 123.44. So that's half a mark for that part. You take that number and you subtract. Your new unpaid balance is 62.78.66. You get another half mark for it. So if you fill this incompletely, there's no way you're getting 0 today. Okay, there's no way you're getting 0. But if to get the full marks, you need to write this number towards the end. If you made a little boo-boo at the beginning, then I normally carry it over, and you still have a chance to get 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 4. So keep that in mind. That means that 1A is not out of 4, it is out of 5. Because you got the 1 for the payment, and then 2 for each row. Okay, so 5 marks for 1A. And here, that's what I mean, don't leave anything blank. you score marks no matter what. I mean, no matter, it doesn't, you have to do some work. But if you add these two numbers, that's the interest paid in the first 2 months, you get the marks. Okay? You get the mark regardless of whether or not you got this right. If I see you adding these two, you get the 1 mark here. So it should be 56.56. And then this one is actually independent from what we've just done. It says how much interest will Kamal have paid over the 4 years. This is asking for total interest. Okay, what's the total interest? So total interest is payment, okay, times 12 months times 4 years minus my loan was 65.25. Okay. And I'll just give you the answer today. It's $744.60. That's over the life of this loan. Okay. So this one is not worth 1, it's worth 2. So you're like, what's going on here, right? The province has changed how they mark these from time to time, so I kind of go in line with what they do. So I give you 1 mark for this first step here, and another mark for subtracting the loan. So now you gotta come with me to add this up, right? So 2 and 1, that's 3, plus another 2, that's 5, 7, and then 8, right? So this is 8 in total. 8 marks. So cross off the 6 at the top and just make this worth 8 marks. And then we'll do the other one separately. So this one is 8 standalone, and then that small one I gave you, we'll do that separately. So I'll have 2 separate entries on my spreadsheet. Make sure your name and last name is on there, okay? If you want the date, if I do post the ACs, the videos, if you want to go back and check, the date on there will help you to find it. Now this one. What are we looking for in this row here? Interest is first and foremost. So how do I do that? I go payment minus principal here. I take these two, I subtract them, and I get, where am I here? 1219. Half a mark for that. I know that the principal brings this down, right? To get to the next, I need to go minus P. So if I subtract, I get 4,362.19. Half a mark for that. Okay? Next, I need to do this one. And if at all possible, I try to go from left to right if I can. I need the principal. The principal is going payment minus interest, correct? I'll subtract these two. So that would be 138.19. Then I subtract that, right? I go minus P here. So this principal brings down what I owe them, and it's actually a round number. 4,224 exactly. You don't need the 2 zeros if you don't have that, that's fine. So half a mark for each. That's basically how I mark this. And then the last row, you're in trouble in this one. You can't just subtract these two or these two to fill, so you have to relate to these two here. Unpaid balance, right? Unpaid balance minus unpaid balance is what you get there. And that is, if you subtract it, it's 138.56. And that is what I bring in here. And then so now moving this way, right? So to get the interest, I go payment minus principal. So subtracting these two gives me my interest here, which is 1144. So you get half and half. Got it? So 1, 2, 3, 3 marks for this one. Anybody try the bonus? Some of you tried. So here it is. If you're not sure, it goes back to this formula. I don't know if you remember: loan times interest rate divided by 100 divided by 12. Right? Remember this one? So you got to stick with one row at a time. Because originally you used it for this. So the interest is 1219, let's say. That's the interest. So you go 1219. The loan to get this was $4,500. So the loan is $4,500. This is going to be my X. I'm going to figure out what that is and divide it by 12. And now you basically got to go opposite operations. What's the opposite of dividing by 12? Times. So if you do that, you get 146.28. And on this side, you cancel these out. You get 4,500 times X. Now you need to divide both sides by 4,500. Cancel out. So now X is on its own. That's the interest rate. If you do that, if you divide these, you get this. 0.0325. But that's just as a decimal, right? If you want that as a percentage, you multiply that by 100, so it's 3.25%. If you guessed, I can't give you the bonus, right? So some of you will have tried what works. So it has to be some algebra or some sort of work to get that, okay? So you get +1 if you got this. All that work for just 1 mark? I know. It was optional.